Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome back to 10 Count. I'm Steve Hall, but on today's edition, I forgot my pom-poms, but maybe he has them with him. It's Mike Mundo. You might know him as Mikey from the Spirit Squad. How are you doing today?
Doing good, Steve. Thanks for having me on the show, man. I really appreciate it. It's good to be on.
It's a pleasure to have you here because you have so much story to tell. And I think the people want to start with what most fans remember you from, at least for me, is the Spirit Squad. Who the hell came up with the idea of the Spirit Squad? Because, there's been so many stories in the past of characters like an evil dentist or a garbage man, but that was so long ago. But then
a plumber,
TL Hopper.
TL Hopper, can't forget about him.
Of course. his entrance music was a plunger and flushing a toilet.
Oh, man.
Man-tar, half man, half tar. I'm not really sure what he was. Santa Claus's evil brother. But yet, we had, a few years after that, Spirit Squad, male cheerleaders. Who came up with this?
Yep, that was strictly a Vince McMahon idea. That was him. He's like, one day, he probably just got up. He's like, I never had cheerleaders on my show. Damn it. Find me some cheerleaders, and that's just kind of how it went, and the original idea was for Kenny Dykstra, it was also supposed to be Dolph Ziggler, he was in it, and a lot of people don't know this, but it was also scheduled to be for Elijah Burke as well.
Yes.
But Elijah, he bet on himself, and it worked out for him. And good for him. He's a good dude, great wrestler, a friend of mine. But they wanted 5 guys total. And I remember I was home around the holidays, and Tommy Dreamer gave me a phone call, and he's like, I might have a spot for you in the Spirit Squad. And he told me to dye my hair and show up to the Continental Airlines Arena, for Monday Night Raw. He took me in front of Stephanie McMahon. Stephanie took a look at me up and down. She goes, yep, that'll work. And that's how I got my spot in the Spirit Squad, And shortly thereafter, Johnny Jeter became a member and got involved in the gimmick. And it was just it was a great run, great time in my life, I got to wrestle my childhood heroes growing up, those being Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, Triple H, Dusty Rhodes, Sergeant Slaughter, and it was fun. Got to live a dream, and be at the biggest stage in professional wrestling.
Now, Tommy Dreamer called you, and at the time he was the head of talent relations, if I'm correct on the time frame.
Yeah, he was the head of talent relations. Yep, of developmental system. Yep.
So, what was your relationship like with Tommy Dreamer before the Spirit Squad? Because obviously he's aware of your talents in OVW, but yet out of this group that's going to be wrestling the reemergence of D-Generation X. And hanging out with Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon, main characters on TV. Obviously, we know the McMahon family. But yet, having this opportunity, what was your relationship like with Tommy Dreamer before that? Because obviously, he could have picked anybody, and maybe they would have been accepted, maybe they wouldn't have. But he called you and made you part of this process. Now, what was your relationship like?
Yeah, Tommy was always, he was a big advocate of mine. He was always... he always said to me that he always wanted to give guys breaks that really worked hard, and had a passion for the business. Because Tommy always had a passion for the business, he's been around, forever, and Tommy was a big fan of mine, and we've always had a great relationship, he was just one of those guys that was just always in my corner. And I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Tommy Dreamer is the guy that got me my developmental job, when he was in, he came into office. He had 5 favors or whatever it was. And OVW been trying to put me in the position to get a job, with the company and everything like that. But unfortunately, they didn't really look at me as a talent. They looked at me more like a referee because I wasn't the biggest guy and everything like that. Nothing against refereeing or anything like that. I'm all for it, but my passion's in the ring. I've always wanted to be a wrestler, And Tommy saw that. He knew that. And when he came into office, he gave me my first big break, as far as getting a job with the WWE. And then it all just kind of, snowball effect after that. The Spirit Squad came about. He got me my spot there, But I'm really grateful to have him in my corner. I had a lot of good people in my corner that really gave me breaks throughout my career. Jim Cornette being one of them. Danny Davis really looked out for me, always put me in the right position to succeed, being a trainer down at OVW, And I just I'll never forget about the people that paved the way for me to kind of give me the breaks that I got and stuff like that.
Yeah, Tommy Dreamer was one of those wrestlers. You go back to, ECW days where you would hear stories of him not getting paid to be on these events. Like everyone brings up a story of, oh, when ECW closed, Paul Heyman shut the lights off. No, he wasn't even there.
Yeah,
Like Tommy
right.
Dreamer was the one who shut the lights off. And you hear
Yes.
stories of passion of just not being paid to make sure that the show would go on. That to
Mhm.
me is passion beyond anything. You always hear about
Yeah.
stories of like, oh, you get paid and your money will buy your house. Your passion cannot buy you your house. You can't go to the bank and say, I have a lot
No.
of passion. Can I have a house? To like, get out of here. But he
Yeah.
obviously believed in himself and believed in you because getting you into OVW, getting you into the Spirit Squad,
Mhm.
clearly he saw that you were willing to work harder than the rest of the bunch because obviously OVW was filled with passionate people who all
Mhm.
wanted to be on Raw or SmackDown or be a superstar, but you were
Mhm.
given this opportunity because of your hard work. Now, this is an interesting question to bring up is, were there jealousy? Was there jealousy? Because you think about it, you weren't just put on the main roster as, hey, we're going to start you off with vignettes and we're going to lean you in beating lower third tier wrestlers. No, you
Yeah.
went immediately into Vince
Right to the
McMahon, Shane
top.
McMahon, DX.
Yeah.
Did you hear the whispers? Did you feel it? Did you hear from friends like, man, this guy hates you because you're now on the big time?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where, yeah, there was always those people there. You know what I mean, like that. We came in, we got a big break, and honestly, if anyone else would have got the break on the roster, they would have took it too and ran with it just as much as we did. You know what I mean? There's a big difference between getting paid between the first match on the card and the last match on the card. Everybody wants to be in the main event. I mean, that should be your goal if you're on the roster full time, anyways. In WWE and like
Mm-hmm.
that. But it was one of those things where you just had to block out the negativity, and it wasn't like that 24/7 or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But people, sometimes they try to get in your head, try to flush you a little bit. Remember, I was 22 years old at the time. You know what I mean? I was a boy in a man's world.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a whole new atmosphere. I mean, this was the big time. This was the big leagues. But I had a passion. I had a dream. I was going to follow through with it. For me, it's like just put me in, coach. I want to play, but I also want to succeed at the best and the highest level possible. You know what I mean? So we just took a day at a time, and that's what we did. And we just worked hard, let our work speak for itself in the ring, and just had the best matches possible that we could possibly have. And we just did what was asked of us and everything like that. Do I think the Spirit Squad could have had a longer run? Yeah, I do. You know what I mean? It was but sometimes you can't fight Mother Nature. You can pitch ideas and try to get some more longevity out of it like that. But honestly, like not to sidetrack from your question, but for the most part, we were cool with everybody. It was
Yeah.
good. It's a very intense atmosphere. It's high stress. It's live TV, millions around the world, thousands every single Monday night. Big arenas, everywhere. And everybody wants to be the best that they can be and make the most money that they can possibly make. So yes, it is very competitive. And the thing about professional wrestling is that it's a work. You know what I mean? So of course people can try to get in your heads a little bit, and everything like that. But if I had the maturity I had now, I can go back and probably handle some things differently than I would have. I probably would have, you know, been so naive a little bit and let them get in my head a little bit more because sometimes it took the fun out of it a little bit. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I just wanted to perform in big arenas, wrestling. The guys that watch growing up on TV and just have fun and make good money and just live a dream. And that's what I was doing. So we all felt like that, but we all stuck together and we got through it, and it was overall a very pleasant experience. Overall, in the grand scheme of things.
You bring up people getting into your brain and your head and stuff because I remember hearing stories of when the Rock started doing the people's eyebrow. There were wrestlers. I won't mention them by name because they're kind of in power now. You might guess who that is. They would say that eyebrow, that's stupid. You shouldn't do it. And he would
Yeah,
tell and this, and they
I
would
heard
say,
of that. I heard that one.
don't
Yeah.
do the eyebrow anymore. Don't do the eyebrow anymore. Because you know why? There was jealousy.
Yeah.
there was why am I out there busting my butt having 20-minute bangers and this guy's raising his eyebrow and the
Yeah.
crowd's going wild. Obviously, he's like the biggest movie star in the world today, but at the same
Yeah.
time, with the Spirit Squad, I can see a sense of jealousy because there are wrestlers on that roster at the time who have been in the business for 10, 15 years, still clawing to get out of the middle tier Intercontinental Championships, even a little lower. And here you
Mhm.
are, 22 years old, showing up, knowing the right people loving you, you doing the right thing. And I think that's where I think a lot of people forget. In any, doesn't matter in wrestling, any job you have, there's always going to be competition. Doesn't matter if you're the cashier.
Always. And it's everywhere you go, you know?
Anywhere. Yeah,
It,
anywhere. It
it's
doesn't
in
matter.
professional baseball. I'm sure it's in the
Oh my God.
NFL.
Oh
I'm
God.
sure it's in
Yeah.
big corporations and businesses. Heck, it probably happens at Walmart. It happens
Oh,
everywhere.
definitely is.
I
Yeah.
mean, everybody wants to climb. Everyone wants to be the best they can be, top of their game for as long as you can possibly do it, because everything has a run. And when that run, ends, it's okay. Well, then what's next?
Hmm.
And that's the thing. You can be on the top of a period of time, and it cycles, it filters. Hacksaw Jim Duggan told me that. And everyone, you get another run. You just got to be patient. It's right place, right time. Right circumstance. And when the opportunity gets presented to you, that's up to you for your skills to speak for itself, and then hit a home run and to prove yourself. And you got to get over. I mean, this business, it's just because you're a nice guy, or just because you're a good wrestler, doesn't mean guarantee you you know it's you be able to draw, what I
Yep.
mean, and be able to fill houses. I mean, this is it's a business, and it should be treated as such and everything like that. So you got to prove that you're a commodity, prove your value, and yeah, it's a grind. It's a big grind, because you're only as good as your last show. You can come back through the curtain on Monday Night Raw and kick ass, tore the house down, and they love you. You know what I mean? You come back next Monday and you shit the bed. Well, guess what? That's what they're going to remember you as until you get another opportunity to prove yourself, hopefully. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's definitely interesting business, but it's the best business.
Of course. Of course. I'm glad you call it the business because some people, I know a lot of wrestling fans don't understand the fact that it's a wrestling business. And I
Yeah.
think they're like, what did my favorite win the world title? What did my favorite get pushed? Was your favorite making merchandise sales? Was your favorite putting butts in the seats at house shows or Raws or SmackDowns? No. Okay. Well, then they're not going to get pushed because they're not selling tickets. It's a wrestling business.
Yeah.
But but let's talk about the Spirit Squad. There's this move that I absolutely love that you never see anymore is like a 5-man. Let's just throw you in the sky and see where you land. I talked to Jimmy Wang Yang once about this, and he said he was kind of used as a guinea pig to see if it would work. Because Shawn Michaels was a little nervous. You were going to throw him through a table on, I think, Saturday night's main event. And he said he was like a little. This is Jimmy Wang
No,
Yang's
this is the pay
word,
per
so I
view
want to hear
actually.
yours. Oh, was that Vengeance
The
then?
pay per view when it was, I want to say it was Shawn Michaels and God versus
Oh,
Vince and
Backlash
Shane
2000.
McMahon.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Backlash
this was before the
2006.
show,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
Shawn was a little eerie about taking the
yeah,
bump,
yeah.
and Jimmy Wang, he stepped right again, right place, right time, right opportunity. We tossed his ass up, he went through the table, and then moments later after that, Vince offered his job back. So it's
Yeah,
just crazy how things work sometimes. It's
yeah.
just and that's just the way it goes, and that's just the way the business is. But
Who
you know,
who came up with that though? Because that move is I haven't seen it since. Maybe it's been somewhere else and I just haven't been paying attention. But that 5-man, let's throw you in
yeah,
the sky because you're getting height. It's not a back
yeah,
body drop where you're getting a little height. You are
yeah.
whipping them up.
Oh yeah. Well, see, the thing is with the character and the gimmick that we did is that we really had to embrace this gimmick.
Yeah,
It wasn't about just doing what we did in OVW and being the best wrestler we can be. Once knew we were going to be male cheerleaders, Vince paid for us to go to cheerleading school, paid for us to go to gymnastic lessons to learn the back tucks, the handsprings, the cartwheels, and the synchronization of the cheers. And everything like that. So I remember we were it was like 7 day. We never had a day off. It was 7 days a week, all the time. So if we weren't in the ring, we were doing that or this. But I remember we were at there's gymnastic lessons, and I think it was Kenny Doan's idea actually. He's like, "Would it be kind of cool because there's 5 of us if we all each grabbed a limb and just whoo, toss them up as
yeah,
high as they can in the air?" And I was like, that could work because that involves all of us. All of us, we can do it to anybody. We did it to Big Show. We did it to Viscera. We sure as heck can do it to anybody else smaller, So it just was one of those things that it just worked, and yeah, it was a good little move for us.
It's a great move. I wish
Yeah,
I wish factions would utilize this more. Maybe because
kind of
it's
scary too when you think about it,
you got to
because
land
you're just
right.
looking up, and you always in wrestling, you always want to be in control of your own bump. But this was kind of a move where the trust was really relying on us,
Yeah.
because we had to make sure when we tossed them that when they landed, that they landed flat in a safe manner, because that's the most important thing in this business is to make sure whoever you're working with, that you take care of your opponent and that safety's first at all times.
Of
So,
course.
and I pride myself on that.
Yeah, I know you do virtual boot camps with professional wrestlers where they send you tapes and tapes, we call it tapes, send in
Yeah.
their digital copy of their matches, and you will critique them and you will give their advice. And how is that process working for you? Because you've done so much already in the wrestling business, and now you're offering your mind to other professional wrestlers who need a little insight. Because sometimes someone will just say, "How was my match? It was great," and you're like, "Well,
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
I need to improve." So
I
how's that
just
working out?
I just got off a phone call with somebody last night from Australia doing it, and for any aspiring wrestlers, well, aspiring or wrestlers out there, for $30, if you want to send me a match of your choosing, I'll watch it a couple times. I'll dissect it from A to Z, give you the pros, give you the cons, and then we'll schedule a FaceTime call and we'll have a one-on-one talk and we'll break it down. And I'll give you all the pointers and I guarantee you, or your money back, that you will leave better off from it. And this is one of those things I just thought of. I was just like, there's God, like guys that are like a really experienced. I've been doing this 20 years now, and just over 20 years, and I'm just like, I want to give back, and I have all this knowledge. Guys like Rip Rogers, Al Snow, Jim Cornette, Danny Davis, Paul Heyman. And that's not including the guys that I wrestled: Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Ric Flair, Dusty. And it's just I've wrestled so many great opponents and have all this experience, and I was just like, this would be a great way, to give back, help out guys that are up and coming or in the business today, and to give my take on things, because I was never one to kind of really voice my opinion. But you know what? I figured I've been doing this 20 years now. What better time than to do it now? I get on Twitter now, and I'll tweet out, just random wrestling advice, if I can help out another person to try to give them a different thought process or a different flavor of ice cream, so to speak. And it's been great. So I stay pretty busy with that, and it's a lot of fun. And anything I could do, like wrestling wise, and it's great, and to make money, make money off of it. You know what I mean? And just to get paid to do what I love to do, and that's
Right.
what I've always wanted to do, and that's always been a goal of mine to make a living in this again one day. And I'm gonna keep going. I get back in the ring February 25th. I had to take a little bit of time off because of a health issue. I'm excited to make my comeback February 25th at the Psycho Circus for NYWC. So that's just gonna be another avenue for me to, get my name out there again. And just, Mike Mondo, he's not done. He's not done yet. It's gonna be I had a great career so far with the Spirit Squad, Ring of Honor, OVW, NYWC. But now there's gonna be a whole new chapter, and I'm looking forward to embracing that.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
I want to talk about, I think, an inside joke that happened to you. So in Spirit Squad wrestles DX and Ric Flair on an episode of Raw, and that's the last time we see Spirit Squad until 2016. So
Yeah.
that's a long time. So, but after the match, you're put inside of a crate and they put OVW on it. That's very inside baseball. It's very inside joke where like you'd have to know what OVW is to know what they're talking about. Sending you to developmental back to the territory where you started to come back up maybe as a different character or
Mhm.
so on and so forth. How'd you feel about that? Because to me,
Yeah.
that it felt a little weird. Like you've heard all these inside jokes in the WWE for years, where like, oh, Virgil was named Virgil because that was Dusty Rhodes' real name. Like, there's always
Mhm.
these little like little jabs that people are like, oh, that's not
Mhm.
real. That's not a real jab. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
What did you think about that?
Yeah, that's one of those things. I told the story 100 times, and that's one of those things where I was telling you earlier, with my knowledge, my experience that I have now. Being a man, you're not a boy in a man's world. That I wish I would have like spoke up and said something about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because really the people had no idea. That what I mean. Originally, the box was supposed to say Tijuana on it, and they thought it would, because Mitch was the least experienced member of the Spirit Squad. And Mitch was Mitch, and somehow, he just get us into some trouble, some heat every now and then. But he was just not really he was very new to the business. He was very green. He didn't know any better. He
Mhm.
just wanted to have a good time, have fun. You know what I mean? And it was one of those things where, Triple H pulled me aside because I remember him saying this to me. And he's like, "Hey, Mike, wouldn't it be kind of funny because Mitch is the shits if we put the OVW sign on it, and we put Mitch in the box, and back to OVW." And I'm like, well, I'm thinking to myself, well, the illusion is not just Mitch in there, is that it's all of us in there. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it was one of those things where I just let it go, and I just did it, because that's what was asked of me.
Mhm.
But it's, one of those things where really, I didn't know it would kind of be like this. I get asked that question all the time.
Of
You
course.
know what I'm saying? And it's just wild to me. But again, it makes sense, because it's one of those inside things. I get it. People thrive on that. That's cool. Ha ha. But yeah, it's one of those things I always have to kind of explain the real story. And that's kind of really the real story how it went down.
Because
So
as a 22-year-old being approached by Triple H of all people at the time, he's a multi-time world champion, married to the boss's daughter, and he's like, "Hey, you think it's a funny joke?" And you're 22 years old. I'm most likely, I think, if I was 22 and someone came up to me like that and was like, "You think this is funny?" It most likely in your brain, you're like, "Just say yes." Just
yeah.
because even
Well,
if you felt that differently, what
I
do you?
would have
Where's
I
your
would have been
cachet? You have
certainly I
no
would have been
weight.
like, yeah, if I can go back, like I would have been like professional about it, you know what I mean? Because honestly probably really didn't think too deep into it. It was kind of like one of those things, oh yeah, it'll be funny, haha. Not really knowing that it really became a thing. You
Yes.
know what I mean? And I would have been like, look, it's funny to us, but really the people aren't really gonna identify and relate to that, you know what I mean? It's one of those things that makes sense and more general, not even detrimental, just it's just like a little jab, yeah, back to OVW, back to developmental, no one wants to go back to developmental after their run. They want to keep getting another run, and they want to stay on top,
Yeah.
and they want to keep making as much money as they possibly can. You know what I mean? It's all about getting that next run, but it is what it is. And I don't fault them. I don't, it is what it is. It's whatever, so I'm over it, to be honest with you. It's all good.
Right. Of course, for you personally, it's all over. But I guess for wrestling fans, we've always heard the story for years and years of these random jabs at people for reasons.
Mhm.
Why was Survivor Series created? Why was Royal Rumble created? Those were to hurt Jim Crockett promotions. Like there's a history of being told by one side, and there's a history being told by another side, and the people
Yeah.
who on the outside looking in now can, like yourself, can share the truth of why this was done versus, oh, the Spirit Squad, male cheerleaders, let's just throw them in
Yeah.
this dump and say they're going to OVW. Ha ha ha. Now,
Yeah.
if you're a kid watching this, if you're a 5-year-old kid watching the Spirit Squad get beat up by DX and Ric Flair, you have no idea what OVW means. There's
Hmm.
been no indication of what this is. But as an adult, as a person who's aware of what's going on, you see this and you're like,
Sure.
that doesn't. You look at it and you're like, I think that DX or Triple H
Yeah.
or whoever is like, let's stick it to Spirit Squad. Who cares about them? Ha ha ha. And that's how it looks like on the outside. But obviously, your experience is
Yeah.
you're telling me Mitch was not doing very well backstage, maybe a partier, maybe having a good time on the road, too much. And that's what wrestlers who have been in the business for years go, he's disrespecting the business. Let's show him. And then it becomes
Could
a
be.
20-year joke. That's the problem.
Hmm. Could be. Yeah, you never know. It's one of those things where you can read between the fine lines, and you can say it could have been, and maybe it was. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It was just one of those things where just happened. You know what I mean? I much would have rather said Tijuana. I think that would have been a much better scenario for everybody.
Or
But it
or
it is what it is.
it could have said anything. If it said anything else, we would not be talking about
Yeah.
it. If it said
Mhm.
anything else, but the fact that it said the developmental story really is like a feels like to me, but you explain it's Mitch, it's Mitch. Though in 2016, the Spirit Squad did come back, only two members, you and Kenny, and I think
Mhm.
my mind was like exploding with excitement because as you said earlier when we started this, the Spirit Squad deserved and should have had a longer run. You
Mhm.
you lose to you lose to DX. Okay, that's fine. You're still a tag team. You could still go in the tag team division. Highlanders, I know you took on them a couple times. There was
Mhm.
not a lot of tag teams when you were in your first run. 2016, they split both brands up. They had a brand split. They had a tournament for the tag team titles. So the
Oh
Spirit
yeah.
Squad's there. The Headbangers are there. Like there
Mhm.
was an influx of tag teams. How did this come to be?
Yeah, it was one of those things. I remember I was at a baby shower, and all of a sudden I get a text message from Dolph Ziggler, and he's like, "Hey, kayfabe," but this was out of nowhere, and it's just kayfabe. The office is going to call you to come to TV, and lo and behold, a couple hours later, I get an email from Mark Carano saying if we were interested in coming to TV. Absolutely, let's get back to work. Let's do this. And we showed up, and we were supposed to be with the Miz, which is what we were with, and doing a little feud with Dolph. And originally it was only supposed to be a one-off, but because the one-off went so well, Vince asked us to come back to the pay-per-view to be involved in like the ending of the match. I think it was like for a false finish or something.
Yeah.
So we do our deal with the false finish, and now the writers are ecstatic about, oh my God, these guys got this reaction. Who are like the writers were kind of confused who we were. I don't know if they really remember that we were those guys back in 2006. Yeah, it was very interesting.
Wow.
And they were like, yeah, these guys can go, let's use them. So it was like, all right. So we came back the next week, and then we started doing something with Heath and Rhino, and it was just like 1 week after 1 week. Now, we never had a contract the entire time. That's the thing. And it was very unheard of. And I think it was Mike Chiodo who came up to us or went up to Kenny, and he's like, dude, like, what's going on? He's like, you don't understand. I've been with this company for years. And he goes, no one ever gets a live microphone that's not under contract, and in the middle of the ring. Because think about it. We could have said anything we wanted to say.
Yeah.
We weren't on the cut. Not that we would do that or not like that. That'd be pretty stupid. But it wouldn't do good for business for anybody. But the fact of the matter is that was the situation we were in. But they would tell us the contracts are coming, boys. The contracts are coming, boys. And it was one of those things that kept on waiting week after week after week, And then we had I think it was like my first ever, by the way, like 15-man tag team match or something like that. It was ludicrous. There was guys all over the place. And, I was in that ring, and I don't know, something just didn't feel right. I was looking around at the arena, I remember, and I'm like, I don't know. I just don't know, because we were just waiting for the phone call every week,
Yeah.
And that was just the last show. And we never got the call after that. We didn't get a reason why, not a text message, not an email. It was just, that's just how it works, Yeah. They used it for what they could use it for. And we never got jobs out of it after that, So, but we did have the opportunity to freshen ourselves up again, So we have getting indie bookings left and right. We were going overseas. We were going to England. We were going to Germany. We were going all over the place. We had independent bookings all around the U.S. We were booked for the next like 2 years straight solid. We went back to work for Tommy Dreamer for House of Hardcore. Got to wrestle the Dream Machine again, which was always a good time, And we got a good chance to refresh ourselves up a little bit.
Yeah.
But we always had the hopes of going back. Was it disappointing? Yes, absolutely. Because WWE, I think, was always Kenny and I's like goal, our dream, to get back there again. And now it was like we had this opportunity. And, to our credit, like I said, we turned a one-off into, a good couple month run. And, but it's just one of those things where, they decide not to go forward with us. You know what I mean? It would have been nice to have a reason why or anything like that, to have a little bit of closure, but to be open-ended like that. But again, it's a business, right? So I understand, especially being grown up, having the experiences I've had, in the past, coming up and everything like that. So, we just moved forward. We moved on. We got a shot with Ring of Honor. We did something with them, worked for WXW, a tag team title tournament in Germany.
Nice.
Yeah, it was. So we got to do a lot of cool things, And if it wasn't for WWE, we wouldn't have had those opportunities to go out and make a living, make money, and to do what we love to do because we didn't have those TV exposure. WWE is the biggest commercial. It's the biggest platform to get yourself exposure, so you can then hopefully, when your run is over, take that commercial and make the most out of it. Going to different places, and it's all about keeping yourself fresh, keeping yourself relevant, and getting squeezing the juice as much as you can out of every little run that you could possibly get.
Of course.
So it was great. Yeah, it was good.
So when Dolph Ziggler texted you, did you ever explain like who pitched this to the idea of Miz and Ziggler in a storyline over the Intercontinental title?
I think it was Miz. It was Miz's idea. Yeah, it was Miz's idea. Yeah, and you know what? Thanks, Miz is awesome, dude. Like he tried. He tried to keep us with him even longer than that. You know what I mean? He pitched ideas to the writers. It's like, look, we know who these guys are. They can go. I think we were like in our low 30s at the time. So it wasn't like we were too old.
Right.
And Road Dogg was even like, going to bat. So like, I'm going to use these guys, right? But they just never really officially pulled the trigger. The gun was locked. It was loaded. they just didn't pull the trigger, and a lot of guys from NXT were coming up. They decided to go, I think, with those guys. They're already under contract, they're already getting paid, so I don't know if they thought it was a business decision why we're going to pay two more other guys when we have all these other guys on this side of the net, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So again, that's all he said, she said stuff. What I can't really say it's a fact, but that's what I heard. That is what was told to me, because Road Dogg even like came up to me one time. He's like, I want to make an amends, man, because I really thought like, that they were going to use you and keep you up on the road and keep going forward with you guys in 2016. And he goes, I just Vince had a different vision, and he just went this way when we thought we were going that way. So
Right. I
it is
feel
what it
like
is.
I feel like over the years there's been indication with tag teams. Maybe lately it hasn't been like that, but for a long time it felt like
Yeah.
get a tag team, have them have a little run, split them up, and hopefully out of that, those two people, we can get a singles superstar out of that. Now, maybe just throwing this out there, the Spirit Squad was a tag team. It was a unit. It was always going to be a unit. And maybe he was like, well, they're a unit. I don't see them, either one of them, being a single star on their own, but I have no idea. These are just indications because of the history of tag teams. It feels like Hardy Boys, Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian, Heart Foundation, The Rockers.
Sure.
Go through the list. It's endless of breaking up teams for no reason at all, just to
Mhm.
see who will come
Yeah.
out the single star of the. Maybe that's why in
Yeah.
2016 you weren't kept, because all he saw you was a tag team, and he hates tag teams, it seems, through the history. I've never heard him say this out loud, but it seems through history he don't like
Yeah.
them.
Well, it lost. It wasn't like how tag teams were back in the 90s and the 80s when there was a lot more of them and the tag team division was a lot more booming. It was mostly, yeah, there just really wasn't. I used to talk to my buddy APOC, Rick Victor, you know what I mean? And he's like, honestly, we sometimes come to TV and we just sit here. We don't do anything, you know what I mean? And they just come to TV and they just fly home. Just whatever, I guess, which side Vince wants to wake up on the bed, and what mood he wants to run with, you know what I mean, so to speak. But he just never really had that niche for the tag team division like it once was.
Mm-hmm.
And, we thought it was going to come back a little bit, they tease it a little bit. They give you just enough, but they never really pump the gas and really go full throttle with it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, it's just one of those things that I love tag team wrestling.
Me
I
too.
think it's a completely different art. You have completely different matches, it brings a totally different element to the show, and everything like that. And I wish they would embrace it more. I think that's what's missing today. And I think it would be great if they brought it back, but it's just one of those things where if it's not the flavor of the month or the flavor of the year or years, then they're just gonna do what they want to do because it's their company, it's their money, and they can do what they want to do.
True.
If we weren't happy, we just start our own company and we can do what we want to do then. I guess
that
that's how it rolls,
that
and
is
that's
true.
how it works. That's just how it goes, man. Really, it does.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you did hold the World Tag Team Championship for 216 days.
Yes, absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
actually, you're the 14th longest reign of that championship gold. It was kind of defunct in 2010 when they decided to keep the tradition of like Raw and SmackDown tag team titles suddenly became like more the thing. But so you have the title, like Demolition had it, Heart Foundation had it, British Bulldogs, Edge and Christian, Dudley Boys. So the
Yeah.
lineage, I consider the real lineage of the WWF.
Yeah.
You're the
Yeah.
14th longest tag team to hold that gold, 216 days. How does it
That's
make you
awesome.
feel? Because again, it's
Yeah.
not like you're this random. If you look at the history of Raw and SmackDown tag team titles, some runs
Yeah.
are like, oh, you held it for a month,
Yeah.
or
No,
two
it is,
random
man. Yeah.
single stars with a tag team, and you're like,
Yeah.
why were CM Punk and Kofi Kingston the tag team champions?
Yeah. 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 No, I mean, you could see if you go back and watch that match when we win, you see the look on my face. Like that was pure joy. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't believe it was even happening, to be honest with you. We were smartened up. It was the day before WrestleMania 22, when we were at the hotel, and we were like, "Yeah, you guys are gonna win the belts the day after WrestleMania." And it was like, "Wow!" And he goes, "Yeah, you're gonna be wrestling with Kenny." And it was like, "Whoa!" So it's like, we all. It's funny with the squad, like we all wanted to wrestle, like we always wanted to, but sometimes only certain guys can get in. You know what I mean? But I was fortunate enough and I was lucky enough to be one of the guys that was picked to wrestle with Kenny. And I was like, wow, this is really going down, but we're like, let's not get our hopes up fully. It's always cards subject to change. once I get in Gorilla, once my music hits, once I get in the ring, and then the bell rings, then okay, now we'll know, that I can get pretty hyped up about this. But it's kind of hard to hold that back. But it was fantastic. It was great. It was one of the greatest moments in my career. It was I just it was just surreal, and to do it for Kane and Big Show to do the honors for us like that, guys, I really respect, and I've wrestled hundreds of times around the loops, and taught us a lot. It was just really, really, just really cool. It's really hard to describe, you know what I mean? But if you go back and watch the match, look at my face. They say a look tells a million thousand words. There you go. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
and to hold it that long, that's pretty wild. That's pretty cool, because even today, it's not all the time where they keep the belt on somebody or an individual for so long. I mean, thankfully with Roman, it's great. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it builds value, it builds prestige. It makes the title mean something, and then when it comes time to pass the torch or pass the title on to somebody else, you know what I mean? It actually makes the other guy, you know what I mean? So now he's elevated just as much, if not even more, elevates the title, elevates the star, great business down. It's passed around like a pop, it just devalues, I think, the title, you know what I mean? And
True.
doesn't make the title mean as much, because it's like, oh, who's gonna be champion next, But yeah, it was really cool. We got to hold it for over 200 days. And yeah, it was what an honor it was to drop it to the guys that we got to drop it to, Roddy Piper and Ric Flair. I mean, those are two individuals that are bar none, two of the greatest of all time. I learned more from Roddy Piper. I learned a lot from Roddy Piper in the ring, but I've learned so much more from him outside the ring, because after the matches, we had our deal where we hook up at the hotel room. He'd come to my room, we crack open a beer and we just talk the business. And it was mostly me just listening. And I would just listen, because I knew I had a chance, I had an opportunity that people would kill for, because here I am getting to pick his brain, you know what I mean? And I'm just learning, and I was like, what the hell? Like, what am I doing in the room with Roddy Piper right now? I mean, it's just like, what the hell is going on? But I just was like, be a sponge, learn, learn, learn. And I took it, and I always apply what he taught me. Same thing with Ric Flair. Rick was a big advocate for what I know, a fan of my work, and he taught me a lot in the ring. He taught me how to call things on the fly in the ring and improvise, and work with top guys, work with guys that are over. You don't have to do a million things to them. You can do one thing and get so much more out of it by just listening to the people, And when you know how to accentuate a person's strengths and hide their weaknesses, and they give them the highlight reel at the right time, and it's like magic. It's like playing music, and you hear the people, and it's just like, yeah, it's like hitting chords on a freaking piano, and it's just it was just a really great experience to learn from Ric Flair, Roddy Piper. And it's so cool that I got to wrestle Roddy Piper at Madison Square Garden. I can keep talking about just my experiences like that, on 9
Yeah.
11, which was like a very big, I'm just going down memory lane. I'm getting all jacked up thinking about it, It's
Share them.
really cool. It was a great experience, man. It really made me up my level of being a worker and a professional wrestler to another level. Without that experience, there's no way I'd be as knowledgeable as I am today. You know what I mean? Not, for what it's worth.
Well, especially having Roddy Piper come to your hotel room. Well, he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to do anything.
No, he doesn't have to.
He can go to
No.
work, clock in, clock out, go home, get paid. And especially around that time, I think it was 2006, maybe, the Survivor Series, the Spirit Squad versus like the Legends. And that was a great encounter. Spirit Squad main eventing Vengeance 2006 against the returning DX. I guess the thing DX. Too. It wasn't the last time we saw DX like a version was like 2000, maybe 2001 inklings. But like you had Shawn Michaels and Triple H coming back together since 1998 when HBK had to step away from the ring with a back injury after WrestleMania 14 against Austin and Tyson. And here you are, you're in the spot to be the first rivals for DX returning. This was monumental. People now have seen 1,000 DX reunions. This was the first one. This was coming back. Triple H turning babyface after years of being a bad guy, and you're in the main event. How does it make you feel? And obviously, the payday must have been nice if you're main event in a pay-per-view against DX.
It was again, it was one of those things where like people would ask me, Mike, what was the loudest that you've ever heard the people? What was the loudest you've ever heard the crowd? People throw around that term pop, you know what I mean? Like around a lot.
Oh yeah.
Like the definition of a pop, okay, is when they reunited. Because I remember I was thrown out of the ring and I was on the floor, and when they got in each other's face and when they did the high five, those people erupted. They popped. You know, you weren't. That was the highest that they were gonna get. You know, and it was just one of those things where it was like, wow, we really did something here, and we're really ready to draw some money now because they need opponents, and they've been putting all this heat on us. You know what I mean? So what better way to take our heat now and to transfer it and work a program with DX, who now is ultra mega hot. You know what I mean? And it was just one of those things where we took the matches around the loops to the house shows, the overseas tours. Like you said, we did the pay-per-view in 2006 main event on Vengeance, and we took it everywhere we went, you know, and it was just awesome. And people were hot every single time. It didn't matter what we did out there. You know what I mean? They wanted to see DX do their thing, do their shtick, you know, and we had heat, you know, so it was just a nice combination. And it was one of those things where we just had great chemistry. And we even got to the point in time with these guys where Sean was like, okay, boys, what do you guys want to do? And it's like, hey, man, joke around. We can call the match. Is that what you're saying, kid? You know what I mean? Like, all right. And he's like, oh, all right. You know, it's like, can you still get up for a drop kick? So, oh, I'll freaking get up. You know what I mean? And we were just having fun. You know what I mean? And that's what it was about. And it was great because when you're having fun, that's when your best work comes out, you know, and they let us call matches. They got our trust. And yeah, they just come back from the curtain happy. Of course, we get our critique, see what we can do better, because that's definitely an opportunity to learn for sure, you know. And then he goes, come the next day, same matches last night, boys. Yep, let's go out and do it, tear the house down, you know. And that's what we did. It was really great. It was a lot of fun.
That's outstanding. That again, the
memories forever.
The tale of the Spirit Squad, I think, have implanted memories, as you said, forever in some people's brains. You can look at them as male cheerleaders and going, or you can look at them as they were the heat that brought back DX. And if you don't believe that, I got two words for you. No, I won't say that. I won't say. I'll get sued for using gimmick infringement, most likely from the WWE. But Mike Mondo, thank you so much for being here on 10 Count and sharing your experience working for Ring of Honor, working for the WWE with the Spirit Squad, getting advice from Roddy Piper, being in the ring, bringing back DX. Your virtual seminars are there. Check him out on his Twitter account, folks. Thank you so much for being here again. Mike Mondo, for talking about the history of the Spirit Squad, because seriously, I think people wanted to know it, people wanted to hear it, and we got it. And I don't have my damn pom-poms with me, but maybe next time, I'll do it.
Yeah, dropping the ball, man. You're dropping the ball, Steve.
Sorry, my three kids are upstairs. My wife's up there too. So
there we go.
You know, you can't be throwing out air horns at 9 in the morning as we record this. But I want to say thank you so much for being here on 10 Count. I've been Seafall. He's been Mike Mondo. Mikey, have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you.
And we'll edit this.